A nostalgic journey in the Wayback Machine. As I scroll through Facebook, I find far more targeted ads and obscure pages littering my feed than in years past. Every now and then, however, a little something slips through that amuses me. While I rarely engage with these posts, I enjoy taking a moment to calculate my score or reflect on what I've seen or done. Let's play. The meme stated, "You might be old if," and required us to tally 1 point for everything we'd done. Communication. Used a rotary phone, used a phone book, and uncurled a telephone cord. Who remembers the good old rotary phone? That quick swish of a finger as you pull down the number until it hit the metal stopper. Then the long wait as the plastic dial made its journey back to the top. Did anyone else have to answer the phone by repeating the house number in your name? 123 456. Vanessa speaking. Just me? Used a typewriter and owned a dictionary. Remember inky fingers? Or writing the red and black ribbon after it got all twisted in the machine as we pounded out thoughts and feelings on a crisp sheet of white paper? Technology progressed to the electric typewriter, bringing with it the glorious relief of softer keystrokes, including a built-in back button that whited out any mistakes. Could life get any better than this? Apparently, it could. Computers. Played an Atari. As Atari was not available in 80s South Africa, we upgraded from Pong to the latest game console, the ZX Spectrum. Games like Penetrator, Adventure A, Planet of Death, and Hungry Horace, which was a glorified version of Pac-Man, entertained us for hours on end. No matter how futile his mission, I desperately wanted to help Horace get full. Did you also find yourself playing a text-based game at some point in your youth? Were you totally captivated by the ugly pixelated fonts that filled the TV screen with instructions to follow? Used a floppy disk. At 19, I bought my first computer, and to be honest, it was nothing more than a very expensive game console. I moved my family up from the ZX Spectrum, which had been retired for quite some years, to DOS-based games on stiffy disks. Those 3.5-inch marvels of modern technology could hold a whopping 1.4 megabytes. A few years ago, I found a website selling the old PC games and revisited my 90s addictions like Crystal Caves and Secret Agent. Was there anything more satisfying than inserting one of those black squares into the slot on your tower and locking it into place, knowing the excitement that was about to come? I used the 5.25-inch floppy disks, which at their peak could hold quite a significant 1.2 megabytes to save documents I created in the word processing software that came with my Windows 3.1 operating system. Had a MySpace account, had an AOL address, and accessed the internet via dial-up. Remember this sound? My apologies to anyone triggered by it. I know I am. As AOL was mainly a North American thing, we all settled for a Yahoo address down in the South. Waiting for the beeps, zings, and dings to finish so we could access the internet seemed never-ending as I sat poised on the edge of my chair, eager to see if I was the lucky recipient of some new electronic communication. Music. Owned a Walkman, made a mixtape, and listened to music on a boombox. Remember the top 40 on a Saturday morning? It was a weekend ritual to sit by the boombox listening to the opening bars of a favorite song, our fingers moving at the speed of light to press down on the record button. The latest mixtape would play on an endless loop in our state-of-the-art Sony Walkman. Oh, and let's not forget using a pencil to wind the tape back into the cassette when the boombox decided to snack on our favorite compilations. Listen to music on a CD and ordered from Columbia House. What an upgrade from cassette tapes to CDs. The clear sounds soaring through the air and kissing our eardrums. No turning the cassette tape or LP over as the shiny disc spun. As I lived in the US for a year when I was 21, I was indeed able to order from Columbia House. 10 CDs for a penny? Are you kidding me? Who wouldn't be pulled in by that deal? Columbia House allowed my CD collection to grow at a faster rate than Usain Bolt could run. Video and film. Watched a movie on VHS and rented a movie from Blockbuster. Please be kind, rewind, was the slogan that could make your toes go cold as you realized you'd forgotten to do so when returning a video to the store. You knew at that moment you were about to lose precious pocket money as punishment. Did anyone else spend hours trying to get the VCR to release a tape it was busy chewing? How about throwing a temper tantrum after someone had carelessly recorded over something you wanted to keep, followed by a serious argument about popping those darned tabs out? Taken pics with a film camera. Oh, that satisfying click as the last picture was taken, and then the hum of the mechanism rolling the film back into its round plastic container. The waiting was torture as our fingers itched to yank the neat little cylinder out of the camera before hurrying to the photo store for processing. Who else dreaded the endless 3 to 4 day wait to get the pictures back? I was particularly ecstatic when 1 hour developing became a thing. Thankfully, due to the expense of developing rolls and rolls of film, there is not as much photographic evidence of our delinquent behaviors as there is for the young ones today. School, business, and life. Learned cursive and used an encyclopedia. One by one, my parents invested into the A to Z encyclopedia, which sat on the bottom shelf of the dark wooden unit in the family room for decades. Every school assignment was met with the sounds of pages being turned in the heavy blue volumes. Voices rang out as friends came by to use the tomes for their own homework. Teachers must have been dead bored reading the same facts over and over again. And don't even get me started on cursive, an evil form of writing that accompanied inked fingers and refilled fountain pens. Sent or received a fax and written a check. Yes and yes. I was so proud of my first bank account and subsequent checkbook. I became a grown-up overnight as I scribbled my signature with care, making sure it looked exact so the bank would pay out a few days later. Sent a postcard and used a paper map. This one made me chuckle. I sent a bunch of postcards to friends in Canada a few months ago. In the glove box of my father's car, which I am currently driving, there are plenty of paper maps. While I haven't consulted one in decades, they remain scattered throughout my mother's home, bringing on memories of map books, balanced on thighs as I tried not to crash into the nearest telephone pole while figuring out where I was going. Those of us over 40 have lived through what could arguably be considered the biggest technological revolution in history. If I sit and think about it, I'm amazed at how far we've come over the last 30 years. From the red rotary phone in my home when I was 19 to the Samsung smartphone I slip into my pocket now, we have come a long way in 30 years. My phone can book a flight to anywhere in the world, manage my finances, or allow me to watch a volcano erupt in real time thousands of miles away. That's some amazing progress. It makes me wonder what the world of technology will look like 30 years from now. At the risk of sounding like an old woman, I wouldn't give up my childhood of saving up to buy a record, renting videotapes, sitting around listening to stories on cassette tapes borrowed from the local library, or waiting in anticipation for my film camera to be developed to see what amazing memories I had captured. Don't get me wrong, the convenience of modern technology is wonderful, and I would be lost without it now. But every so often, it's fun to wander down memory lane to a time when analogue was king.